Welcome to the paraphrasing lesson. For your information, we are working on the resources and research learning targets down here on the bottom, where you're being asked to paraphrase the information of other people. And it's a really important skill to learn when we're researching or doing anything else, that you're not copying other people's information, but you're learning it on your own and then putting it in your own words. That way you're actually learning it. It's making sense to you. We call that paraphrasing. That's where you're taking somebody else's words and putting them as your own. So paraphrasing is going to come in handy in a lot of different aspects of your life, from just when you're sitting down listening to somebody talk, to repeating back what they're saying as a good listener, but also to research when you're doing research projects in the future or writing papers. So today, inside this activity, there's a couple of different things to do. First one is to watch this video. We're going to talk about it real fast. Second one is to watch a video, just another perspective on how to paraphrase. It's got some tips and tricks you might try out. And then there's a Google form, which has several questions for you to take a look at. It starts off with words and then builds up to phrases. And so we're going to kind of talk about that right now. First way to do this is to take a look at thinking about maybe what an alternate definition for a specific word might be. So like, let's say I have the word cry. Well, if I was trying to paraphrase that, I wouldn't say cry. I can't say exactly what the other person's trying to say. So I want to put that in my own words. So I'm trying to think of what's another definition, or what's a synonym for cry. And what's another way for me to say cry? Wept, I could say. Someone wept. Someone cried, they wept, maybe. It might be a different form of the word cry. Maybe if somebody's crying softly, they might sob or sobbed. So it kind of depends on how the person's crying, but both of these would work in place of cry. So, for example, if the sentence was, my friend softly cried on my shoulder. If I had to paraphrase that, I might say, my friend wept into my shoulder as she. My friend wept into my shoulder, or something like that. My friend wept silently as the tears dripped down onto my shoulder, something like that. And we can rewrite that. Or something, how about this? What if it was yell or yelled? What's another word for yell? Well, if I have to paraphrase this, I might try and come up with a different word for yell. So I might try, how about scream? That's a good one. Somebody yells or somebody screams, or holler, or shout. Those would all be ways for me to reword that word so that it comes across as my own. So like if somebody was like, I became so frustrated that I yelled at everyone around me. If I needed to paraphrase that, I might say something like, I'm going to reword it. I'm not going to do the same sentence structure. I'm not going to be like, I became so frustrated that, come on, fingers, that I screamed. Because if I did that, I'm really just copying it, and I just changed one word. And that's not going to work. So I kind of need to redo the whole sentence in a different order, a different way. Everyone around me, or I don't know, how can I say this? Sitting in the room, I suddenly became so upset. See, I used a different word than frustrated, that I screamed loudly. Boom. And so I'm saying the same thing. I became frustrated and I yelled, or I became upset and I screamed, ultimately are the same kinds of things. So now when we're sitting here and we're looking at our research, when it comes to any kind of a research, and this one we're doing is a scientific research on like hearts and cardiovascular systems and body systems, that kind of a thing. Now you really have to try to get it to where you're replacing some medical words, some important medical words on things. And so there's going to be times where you can't. I mean, if you have to say, cardiovascular disease, well, that's what you have to say. You have to say cardiovascular disease. However, there's a fact that says, Americans are more I'm not going to susceptible to. Let's see, I spelled that wrong. I knew it. Susceptible are more susceptible to cardiovascular disease, and something like let's say, I'm sure it's a big number. 50,000 people die annually. Die from it every year. Boom. If let's say that's the fact, and I want to try and say that, I can't just put that down, and I can just change a couple words. It's still not going to be right. Like if I change die to perish, it's still the same thing. So I really need to figure out what can I change here. Americans are more susceptible. That word means like it happens to them more often. So I could say cardiovascular disease. I'm changing the word order. Happens to Americans more than any other group of people, and I said that part. Now we need to say this part. 50,000 people die every year. How could I say that in a different way? How about this? Every year, and then sometimes you just have to do this. 50,000 people perish, or I don't really like perish. Or how about if we said something like annually? How about annually? Annually, 50,000 people die from it. Annually, 50,000 people, or 50,000 Americans die due to the disease. And there's some things like, you notice I didn't change 50,000. Well, it's because I can't. That's the fact. That's the number. I have to copy that over with. So, in summary, on all of this, number one, try to replace specific words with other words that mean the same thing. 2, try to switch up the word order. Sometimes maybe I'll take this cardiovascular disease and I put it at the beginning of the sentence and start a sentence differently with what that is. Either way, you need to try and mix things up. And this is the skill behind paraphrasing. Within this activity, I've actually included, once you do this, and the steps are, let me get to the student view here. The steps are for you to watch this video and watch that second video, and then do this paraphrasing activity here. When you come in, this is a Google form, and there's 3 levels, and you're going to start off with level 1, read those instructions, and for each one, you're going to just switch the word around. And then you're going to switch sentences and write these sentences differently. And now you have paragraphs, and you need to rewrite these phrases or paragraphs here. And once you're all done with that, I've included this last thing here, which is called Quillbot. And I just want you to play around with this. I found it quite fascinating. You can type anything in here. The fox ate dinner at my friend's house, which was located in Denver, Colorado. And paraphrase it, and it should spit out a different sentence that means the same thing. Dinner was consumed by the fox at my friend's Denver, Colorado home. And so you see how we can use AI sometimes if you're stuck on a sentence to completely rewrite it. Now, please understand that as we go forward, I know how students write. And so, use this if you need a hand, if you need some support, but this should not be, a main thing that you use. So anyways, check it out. It's kind of fun, and get it all done. Keep doing a great job. See me if you have any questions.